Well, if we can move on, as we've been trying to jump to the Tigers as fast as possible, because there's so much glee in the Motor City right now, and with the potential of these young Tigers, we've seen that come to fruition over this month, and specifically the last
Easy for you
11
to say.
games. The Tigers are now 8-3 in their last 11, which is pretty good. It's really good for any club in September, as the wheels are kind of coming off some clubs and gaining steam for playoff contenders. Tigers have gone on this 8-3 run against all first place teams. They've done this against the White Sox, they've done this against the Tampa Bay Rays and the Milwaukee Brewers. So what this 611 winning percentage they have in September is remarkable in a lot of ways. But for a young club to be doing this against the elite competition they're doing it against, lots of reasons for optimism going into this offseason and closing out this season on a extremely positive note. Tigers ended up splitting two of those losses, but also two of those wins ended up being last weekend in Tampa Bay, in that fucking concrete blister of a stadium they have. Just
Awful,
truly
just awful.
depressing. I was not looking forward to that series because of the environment, and I feared for the Tigers' prospects in that environment. But they held their own. They actually should have won 3 out of 4 there, but Gregory Soto was closing out game 2 and got hit in the hand with a comebacker, and he's now on the IL. He actually closed out the inning, but he walked the bases loaded, and that's how Fulmer came in and blew it from there. But they held their own. The depleted bullpen held their own in games 3 and 4 of that series, and they ended up winning 4-3 and then 2-0 on Sunday. So, and you could argue the Rays are the American League favorite right now, and the Tigers handed it to them. They played them basically in a week's time. They played 7 games because they played them in Tiger Stadium or in Comerica Park the weekend before. So you could argue they had a 7-game series in a week, which looks like a playoff series a lot, and they beat them 4-3. So they also threw in, of course, I mentioned last week, they just to make things more interesting on them, they threw in a 2-game sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers in the middle of that too. So the what the Tigers are doing is impressive, and they've continued that against your Chicago White Sox this week. And I'm sure you have lots of comments to make about that those 2 games. Third game yesterday was rained out, unfortunately, or maybe that was Wednesday. Tigers just do what they do. I'm assuming you noticed some of the things I was talking about last week, how they take professional at bats, they grind out at bats. They're just kind of I almost think it'd be a compliment to say they're kind of annoying to play against. I don't know if you felt that.
Yeah, it reminded me of playing the Minnesota Twins in their heyday.
And you mentioned that a couple episodes ago.
Like it's late in the game. They're not hitting the ball out of the park.
Nope.
They're getting a bunch of fucking singles, and the inning takes forever, and then it's like a slow fucking death. It's awful.
They do the little things, and one example is Robbie Grossman, who I had never even heard of before this season. But if you look at getting to know him now, and he's having a career year too, but he does all the little things. He gets on base, whatever it takes. He'll steal a base when he needs to. The Tigers always take the extra base. If they can get first to third, they do it. They take a lot of chances on the base, and they get thrown out, and they've got thrown out several times on specifically Wednesday. I think it was, you guys kept throwing. I think you threw 2 of our runners out at home plate, but I think that's AJ Hinch. I think this team looks so different than when they were under Gardenhire last year. They're just so much more aggressive and confident is what I see. And yeah, so they pulled out 2 victories against your White Sox. I was kind of thinking you might be rather disappointed in the performance of your White Sox, considering the base running errors and the defensive errors, lack of timely hitting. You left a lot of guys on base. I don't know. What'd you think about? I'm sure you don't have a whole lot positive to say, and I'm kind of gloating here, but what'd you think of the series?
The everything you just said is extremely annoying. The first game, textbook White Sox Kimbrel, lets a guy on, wild pitch on a steal. Runner gets to third, and there's
That
no
was
fucking
Robbie
outs all of a
Grossman,
sudden.
actually.
Yeah, right. And you're just like, what the hell just happened? And it's Benetti happened to be on WGN this morning, and I saw it, and he definitely towed the company mantra that he's not that worried about the playoffs and Craig Kimbrell because he has, his stuff's there, but he's like Steve Stone's right. And I agree with Steve Stone. For Craig Kimbrell, when he was with the Cubs, what he was doing, he was throwing a first pitch strike. Cause once you get that first strike over, good luck to you. Like it's already in your head. Like
Yep.
you don't, but you have to throw. He has had an inability to throw that knuckle curve for a strike consistently.
And that's what happened to him 2 previous years to this. And we talked about this at the beginning of this season, why he was so much more effective is because he was getting that curve over for a strike. So you could not sit on his fastball. And I don't think it's quite as bad as it was in the previous 2 years.
No,
he gets it over enough, not quite enough, but it's not ridiculous where you can just lay off and only focus on his fastball. But it's a disturbing trend. And I think he knows what he needs to do. Obviously, everyone does. So
the look on his face. Do you see he was biting his jersey when he walked off the field in Detroit?
I've posted a photo of it already.
Oh, did you? I didn't realize that.
I called him the mole yesterday.
Yeah, good. You're still on that? Jeez, don't stop taking my old material.
Hey, I'm reposting shit from last show, so I'm repurposing our content. So it takes a while. I can't do it all in one day.
Taking my material from the Quintana trade. Jesus, dude, come up with your own shit. But anyway, like that there are disturbing trends for the White Sox. Like, and I know they didn't really play anyone in game 2, but they have this thing in these series
yesterday?
Where yesterday. So like they win 7-2, and then the next game they can only come up with like a few key hits, score 2 or 3 runs, and leave like 12 guys on base. And like it's like what we were talking about 2 episodes ago. Like I get concerned because the only thing you can do in the playoffs is get on a run, and that's the only way you win it, really. Yeah. So you have to. They haven't shown any good runs since the first half of the season. So it's a very disturbing trend. There were other like just there were funny, quirky things in the series. Like this one's almost a shit you couldn't make up. Did your broadcast team point out that it was Bark in the Park at Comerica on Monday night?
Oh yeah.
And then the home plate umpire was Lance Barksdale.
I missed that. Hilarious.
Stone and Benetti pointed that out.
That's great. That's definitely a Benetti thing. I love it. I didn't even think about that.
But I think one thing we can agree on still to this day that we've talked about, I think it was on a shit we couldn't make up or we made him asshole of the week, but Angel Hernandez needs to be something needs to be done about Angel Hernandez because
he's been asshole of the week. We're trying our best here to bring light onto his egregious incompetence.
But he hit a new all-time low for our teams. He is now on record. He had performed. He had a 87% accuracy rate, the lowest rate in umpire history behind the plate in that game.
Oh wow, it was historic. It was funny because a part of that game I was listening to while I was out for a walk. So I was listening to the radio, and the radio broadcast was commenting on how ridiculous and inconsistent his strike zone was. Then I got back halfway through the game and turned on the TV broadcast, and the TV broadcasters were making the same comments. Then we were talking this morning, and apparently your broadcast crew noticed the same thing, and now the stats bear it out. So
yeah. So here's what's amazing. He was only in pitches in the zone, he was 90% accurate. So even when it was a strike, he didn't call it a strike.
Jesus.
What makes it even worse, which I was saying how I think we were already live, but before we officially got on the air, how like Keuchel had gotten like clearly a pitch that was about 2 inches off the plate as a strike. He was 80% I'm sorry, excuse me. I said that wrong. He was 80% inside the zone, which meant balls that should have been strikes were called balls. And he was 90% outside of the zone with netted out to 87% accuracy. Now the Tigers overcame because the Sox got a 0.93% plus rating. So he called the Sox 0.93% better than the Tigers, and the Tigers overcame the Angel Hernandez for the victory.
The umps aren't out to get you, as you assume.
Oh, they are in some games where that number is much, much higher.
All right.
But no. But this just goes back to almost goes back to our framing conversation last week, how this just needs to change.
Well, I mean, if everyone in the ballpark on both sides of the plate can see what's happening, but the umpire cannot, there has to be accountability. And we got into this last week, but there needs to be, punishments or, some kind of performance reviews where you can't be allowed to be a major league manager or major league umpire if you're this bad. And
if he's that bad behind the plate,
don't let him be behind the plate. I mean,
in a 3-game series, you don't get to go behind the plate.
Yeah.
Or in a 4-game series, you don't get to go behind the plate either. The other guy, whoever did the first game, goes twice. I mean,
the lack of transparency and accountability is unconscionable. I'll never understand it, and that needs to change.
And why replay can't get cleaned up? I don't know if you saw the play at the plate yesterday in the second game. I mean, I took the free. I took the I didn't think you did. I took a freeze frame and posted it on Twitter. You can see in the frozen frame that the Indians player is out. The game is tied 2-2 at that point.
Cleveland Baseball Club.
Cleveland Baseball Club. Well, they're still the Indians right now.
Guardians.
They don't switch. They're not the Guardians for another few weeks.
I don't acknowledge any of these names for this team you speak of.
Zach Collins, clearly, you see the tag on him. His hand is not on the plate. The Sox asked for a review, and they still called him safe.
It's getting worse.
It is getting worse, and like it just drives me nuts. So.
Well, I'm going to steer us back to the Tigers for a moment because this is supposed to be a Tigers segment.
I have a Tigers ASCO question for you too.
Oh, nice. Well, I do want to mention a couple milestones that the Tigers were able to get to this week against your White Sox, actually. Miguel Cabrera, who seems to have a milestone every week now, he reached 1,800 RBI for his career.
Nice. Congratulations.
Nice. He has not reached 600 doubles yet, which I talked about last week. I'm not sure if he's going to get to that this year, but we'll see. The other milestone, not really a milestone, but Alex Lang got his first save of his career against your White Sox. He got his first save because the bullpen has been so depleted. Last week we talked about Jose Cisnero went on the IL with a mysterious elbow cut from allegedly falling on his stairs. I mentioned Gregory Soto, the basic closer we've had all year. Tried to protect himself from a line drive and broke his finger, I think, and is out for the rest of the season. So the bullpen was very taxed at the end of the Rays series. But so we've got no names like Alex Lang closing out games against you guys and getting it done. But Cubs fans actually might remember the name Alex Lang as he was part of the trade for Nick Castellanos 2 years ago. He and one other player is unmentioned. I don't remember who it was. Came back to the Tigers from the Cubs in that deal. So I think I need to start to give Al Avila a little more credit for his trade acumen, as I've not seen much fruit from his trades of huge names like JD Martinez, a little bit from the Justin Verlander trade, as Jake Rogers has shown some promise, although he just had Tommy John surgery last week. So, but getting some names like Alex Lang that you forget about in these deals that are actually producing now on the major stage. So, got to give Al a little bit of credit there. But